as we land on John Morant, Memphis Grizzlies. While Jason Tatum and them and LeBron and them were on the court playing, he was out in them streets.
That's right.
Doing what John Morant has been doing as a young person, hanging out and such. It's summertime. Right. He has now, he's away from the game. They lost to LeBron and them. So he's out there in the streets doing the thing, right? And so there was an Instagram that came over the weekend with him in the car with some rap music, with some horrible lyrics. Then I was cringing at every turn. I was like, why? And then there's a gun flash.
Right.
And I was like, just get suspended for flashing a gun. So one or two things I'm thinking. Either he's like, I'm free, I'm gonna do what I want, which you are, but you also are in a league whose dependence on your image is equally as important as your freedom to them, right? Absolutely. I just finished watching this Nike Air movie on Amazon Prime starring Viola Davis playing Michael Jordan's mom and Matt Damon and Ben, whatever his name is. And I was, I'm studying the anatomy of things because my burning question is how did Google, where did these things come? Because it came out of nothing, and then they become these multinational corporations that are unstoppable. But it started somewhere, So we're getting kind of the origin story. Michael Jordan, a singular force, but unto himself, there was his mom and his daddy, of course, Nike, the NBA, like all of these things conspired to make him probably the greatest player of all time. LeBron's still playing though. And I'm not even going to argue greatness. They're all great.
Right.
But as I'm listening, I'm watching all of this play out and I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking about John Morant, who just signed, Dr. Black, a 5-year, last July, 5-year, $193 million contract extension. The value would have increased to $231 million. He would have gotten $231 million had he made the All NBA team this season, which he did not. So he lost roughly 30 something million dollars, not making that team. And I don't know if he didn't make the team because of his off court, because it's hard to vote when a person is also, yes, he's a singular force of talent. He's incredibly talented as a basketball player. I haven't seen a player like that in a while with his gifts, his personal gifts. But off the court, he's doing this stuff. And I'm like, do we police his behavior? Yes, we do. You're 23 years old. And I'm juxtaposing him to Jason Tatum and even a LeBron James, who didn't know when his mama would come home half the time. Right. Thought the refrigerator was the cabinet for the cereal. That's where cereal goes. May not have milk for the cereal because he was taking care of himself. But as a father and a man, he is showing up differently for his children because he didn't have that. And I think about, Dwayne Wade, who had a mom who was also battling addiction. And now he's showing up for his children in a different sort of way and even had custody. Some could argue, y'all argue with yourselves. I'm not here for the argument. I'm just making a statement that John Morant's daddy is with him. John Morant's daddy gave him, and I've been talking about that on these airwaves, gave him the confidence when the coaches, those melanemic coaches would tell him how to play. His father was like, I'm gonna coach you. They don't define your value. You're gonna define that. And we're gonna go in the lab and build you. And he did. I celebrated that. T. Morant in his relationship with his son. But now I'm looking at this and I'm like, first of all, who's filming? And why?
Right.
Secondly, the person sitting next to you in the car, big up in you, just saw you get suspended. Is this your friend? So I'm gonna play a clip from someone who might be problematic, but I'm gonna chew up the meat, spit out the bones. If you say some goodness, unless your body of work is evil, then we toss the whole thing out. Right. But if you say some goodness, we're gonna extract the goodness. So right. Kwame Brown said something. I'm gonna start with the Kwame Brown quote. Smiz 866-801-8255, who said some things about John Morant. Play it.
So John Morant, you like to play with guns, huh, boy? So instead of you just being in your house, buying all the guns you want, playing with all the guns you want off camera, you want to get in trouble for having a gun at a club, give a bull apology, and then show a gun on Instagram Live. I've heard of NBA young boy, but you NBA dumb boy. you got to be the dumbest mother in the league. You got $231 million promised to you, and you want to be a thug? Yeah, it's okay for you to have a gun. You have you have a right. You have a Second Amendment right to have a gun. But what the do you keep pulling it out menacing for? What is up with all this music you keep listening to? Is this music putting you in a trance, dumbass boy? Because this music is about to cost you your fucking career. You're gonna be bouncing around with all day long, just listening to music in the backyard of a goddamn shack if you keep on being a jackass. You's an NBA dumb boy, and your friends ain't your goddamn friend. Because I done dumb before, and you know when I noticed a real friend, they're gonna tell you when you wrong, and then they ain't gonna argue with you, but they just not gonna participate and go with you in the bull. See, a real friend don't keep telling no man over and over and over what's right and what's wrong. You just tell them, and you let them make their own decision. But you don't. I wouldn't be the friend in the car next with you, recording you doing something stupid. That got that cell phone and knew you got a gun and know you dumb enough to pull it out on camera. He should have never been recording your dumb ass because you NBA dumb boy. Thank God you can shoot a goddamn basketball, you can jump, because that's about all you can do. Your brain.
We'll play because there's actually a gangbanger, somebody that's in one of the Crips and Bloods that had something to say about John Morant as well. I'm gonna play that later. I was going to lead into this to talk about, these rites of passage, and maybe that's a later conversation that's necessary. But what is the desire? Because I think about people like LeBron and Dwayne, who could have gone down, Dwayne in Chicago, could have gone down a different path to be thuggish and made a different choice. And John Morant, who absolutely is not a thug, who wants to be. And I think about all of the rap music that's pumped into, these communities, that I feel like the Proud Boys and all these are manifestations of some of this stuff, because 70% of our rap is consumed by white people in the suburbs, who then put on the cape to be all of these things that they're not. Like, and John Morant, the cosplaying that's going on, most people who are in these positions do not want to live that life at all. They wish they had options. $231 million. What is happening, Dr. Black? What is the problem?
Here's the problem.
Oh, you are
First
muted.
of all,
okay, go ahead. Yes.
First of all, even this brother who just kept calling him dumb, that's part of the problem. I'm not going to call John Morant dumb. I'm not going to demean the man's character because his behavior is poor. Because, see, here's the problem. What America knows, and we as Black people, at some point, Karen, we must ask this question. $230 million. All right, stay with me for a minute. Do we really believe that somebody's paying you $230 million simply for you to dribble a ball? Do we really believe that? And let me tell you, this man who was just talking, he believes that. And here's why. What you could tell in his comments is he's angry at John Morant for compromising the money, not his character. That's the problem. The problem is not that the man might lose $230 million. That's not the problem. We think that's the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is that John Morant does not understand that someone has not told him that when you get on the auction block to go into professional sports, people pay money to police your being. They pay money to do it. Somebody was supposed to teach him that. Nobody taught him that. Somebody was supposed to teach him that the reason a teacher might make $60,000, but you might make $230 million is because we're paying for the pleasure of watching your flesh anytime we get ready. We're not paying teachers for that. Since teachers are not giving us anything fleshly, they're only giving us potentially something mentally. We'll give you something minimal because we cannot dream your desirability. But while you're running up and down the court in these shorts, we're dreaming of what your body could be doing for our pleasure. And we paid you to dream it.
Ooh.
And you owe us the dream because we paid. And you agreed. You signed your name. But here's what's deep, Karen. Because you really thought, you really believed that you were exceptional. Exceptionalism has killed Black people in this place since the time we arrived. In other words, John Morant is flashing guns because I'm not like the rest of the niggas. But actually, you're even more when they pay more for you. That's how you really become one. In fact, see, what Black people really were beginning to see at one point, Karen, is the less America pays for you, the more free you are.
Oh, wait a minute, Dr. Black. Hold up now. So, because I'm seeing various conversations being had, but not this one. Right, because this is a nuanced conversation.
It's very nuanced.
Is not and it is not. And we're about to talk about some things in the next hour in terms of how we process information. We've talked about this before, but we're gonna go even deeper because it's Motivational Monday, and part of the mission here is to motivate you to your best, your most productive self.
Yes,
your most free self. So you're saying that the problem is not the waving of the gun.
It's not. That's the symptom.
So so should he be waving a gun, Dr. Black?
The problem is Black people's love for the manifestation, the fruit of white supremacy in Black hands. That's
okay. Wait, hold on. All right, so let's. Kwame Brown, who was one of the number one picks. People looked at him as a bust. He's got a huge, humongous, probably, definitely, warranted chip on his shoulder because they harangued and harassed this young man who came out at 18 to play and was the number one pick and was, really good and before he got into the NBA. And he's probably a decent NBA player if you looked at the numbers. But now he's got a platform on YouTube where, he's pro-gun. He's almost like a little bit like a Herschel Walker type, maybe a little Charles Barkley type, got a lot of opinions that resonate with a lot of us because we are conservative as a people, as a group, because we've been conditioned to be that way. And when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I don't know why he's cosplaying because this is not who he is. So what I saw was somebody not being his full representation. You're saying something quite different, which is valid. And I want to sit with it for a minute because I'm not quite sure I agree with you in terms of, that they're paying for, the use of his body when they want that 231 million. Definitely, he is exceptional. There are not a lot of people that can do what John Morant can do on the court.
But that's not true. That's not true. There are tons of brothers who can do what John Morant can do on the court. They're just not in the NBA. It's like if you take an Aretha. There are tons of sisters who can sing like Aretha. We just have not heard them. There are tons. See, and the reason this, and I'm out on a limb, but I'm telling you, I'm out there. But I'm gonna tell you.
Hold on, 866. Hold on, 866-801-8255 is the number. Go ahead.
But Karen, it must be true. If it's not true, Black people don't believe in themselves. It must be true. You mean to tell me we don't believe that we'll ever do better? We don't believe we'll ever do better than what we are? What the hell is that?